Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We are in Amrutanubhava, chapter 6, words devalued, verse number 64, and here we are looking at Sthula Sukshma Kavana Eku Padartha Na Prakashi Arku Pari Ratri Vishayi Aprayojaku Zhalachi Ki. The sun may be able to illuminate all the objects, be they small or big. However, can it ever illuminate darkness? This is what we saw. I think we saw this last week also. And darkness is not an object of that can be illumined. It is absence of light. And the sun, it illuminates every object from small to the micro to the macro, but can the sun illuminate darkness? What Jnaneshwar Maharaj is endeavoring to tell us is to change our vision from individuality to that of vision of totality of the Lord. This shift, if it is not happening as a human being, you will remain as a human being or you will become an animal person, animalistic. And every possibility of falling down into the animal behavior is there. If growth only happens when we have a goal in front of us. Nobody has a goal to become an animal from a man. Yet, in today's time, so many people are, instead of having good relationship with human beings, they have dogs and cats and parrots and rabbits. And why? Because those poor things cannot answer back. They are dependent on you and you feel they are more loving. They can't communicate, little bit whatever they communicate. So these people are already in that direction. Our lot, those who are coming to satsang, we have to grow, we have to expand, and our expansion is from individuality to totality. If you say absolute, can you expand to the absolute? You are already the absolute. And absolute is formless and attributeless. So as long as you are seeing the world, and then as long as you are feeling you are someone, the maximum we can migrate or expand to, not migrate, expand to is totality, the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is the state where everything is in its nascent state, everything is in its unmanifest state. That is the state of Hiranyagarbha. When Hiranyagarbha, which is the causal, when it manifests, the first manifestation is that of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. total. See? And what is the disposition at that Hiranyagarbha stage? This topic is coming in Kathopanishad also. One in all and all in one. That is the disposition there. The person who is who has experienced the Hiranyagarbha, who is at one merged into the Hiranyagarbha, he sees the whole universe pervaded by the conscious principle that he is. See? So here when he says, to that of vision of the totality of the Lord, only then will life, its endeavor, struggles and contradictions fall into the correct perspective. This is from the seeker's point of view. As we go higher and higher, we see the useless struggle that one is going through on the earthly plane. As you grow higher, all these me versus you and these small idiosyncrasies that we have, phobias that we have, fears that we have, as we go higher, all these get laid by the wayside because you are not available to them. See? Even in a plane, when we go up, we don't see the struggle, we don't see the murderers, we don't see the accidents, we don't see the thieves, we don't see the burning houses, we don't see the war, because you are so high up. For you, everything is just plain earth from that height. But when you are on the ground, oh, everything, I hope I don't die, I hope this doesn't happen to me. See? So, this is what we have been trying to come to while living on the earthly plane. When we are living on the earth, on the ground, interacting with the world, all we want through relationships, through possessions, through interactions, through various experiences, is only to become struggle free and dukkha nivritti nirankusha trupti. This is what we want. We want cessation of all misery and we want unabated bliss, continuous bliss. But have we found it till today? Doing what we are doing, interacting with the world that we are interacting? No. Then something different needs to be invoked, and that is, you have to contemplate on expanding your consciousness. For that you have to think of something higher, some higher ideals. See? And as we start expanding and as we start going higher, the lower loses its meaning. It is still there, but you are indifferent to it, you are not available to it. This is one way up, one approach. You are not available to it. Second approach, that in the beginning, if you take it as a wholesome approach, not neti, because in Ishwar Advayavad there is no neti. Everything is the divine alone. And when you take everything as divine alone, then as your attention, as your mind is contemplating on the higher, every experience, every event, every interaction in the world becomes a prompter for you to remain focused on the divine. You see everything as it is, rather than through the glasses of attachment, through the glasses of likes and dislikes, through the glasses of relationships, through the glasses of I am this body. Only as we go higher, our vision changes. It has to change. It's not that you are changing it, it automatically comes about. The world is still there, but now you see it as that everything is, every word that anyone is speaking to you, that your words are coming out, all is prompted by the divine playing with the divine. But for that divine playing with the divine, you have to go up to the Hiranyagarbha. Then it is called Leela. Nothing serious about it. Yet playing the game full tilt, 100%. See, what a wonderful way to live. What a wonderful way to live. Unclutched from the rat race. Unclutched from the rat race. Unclutched from the fear of survival. Unclutched from attachments. Because those attachments give pain to that pseudo entity, that virtual mother, that virtual father, that virtual son or daughter, that virtual grandparent. You are not the grandparent, you are the man or the woman. That attachment gives pain to the body, but you are not the body, you are the consciousness, conscious principle. That pain or comes to the mind, you are not the mind, you are the pure consciousness. So everything becomes an avenue of growth. Everything becomes an avenue to fall back into yourself. It prompts you to look at it in a different way as you go higher. Meaning, in other words, as you go higher, as you expand in your consciousness by focusing on the Lord or the divine being, divine self, our vision of the world transforms. Right now we are seeing the world as a separate a world made up of infinite number of objects, and all those objects and beings are separate to this body. As we go higher, this difference keeps collapsing. How does it collapse? I'll give you one example that will make it clear. Collapsing is simple. Gulab Jamun is outside and you enjoy it. But if you know the process of Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, what is Vaikhari? That is the waking state. What is waking state? Where the seer, I am, the seen is separate to me, and the instrument through which the seeing is taking place is there. So the seer and seen are separate to each other. Correct? What does collapsing mean? Collapsing into each other. From this is the gross state, this is the waking state, where differences are the norm. What about the dream state or the subtle state? Differences are also the norm, but the seer is a thought and the seen is also a thought in the dream, in the subtle state. And in the causal state, the seer and the seen are both in the seed form. They have not become separated yet. And this continuous collapsing and manifesting and again collapsing, this is happening on a daily basis. Waking, dream, deep sleep, waking, dream, deep sleep, waking, dream, deep sleep. Every day it is going on. Catch it. Right now it is, I am having the deep sleep, I don't want to wake up, I have to, oh my God, I wish there was no lecture today, I could have laid down in the bed for longer. But as we are growing as we are expanding in our consciousness, all these three, gross, subtle and causal, they start losing their impact on us. Just as when we are in a plane, whatever is happening on the ground level loses its impact on us because we are not available to it. So where is our availability? Body may be there, but your mind, it is contemplating on the higher. Those who are meditating or doing japa, you must have experienced sometime or the other that while doing japa or watching your pranas, breath, you become body disidentified. Body disidentified means body becomes still. You can't even feel the body. You can't even move your hands. You can't move your legs. As if you know it is there, but where it is you don't know, because there's no shape of the body in your mind anymore. Your mind has broken through the gravity of body identification. Even for 1 minute, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever the duration is. See? So, if we are moving, if we want dukkha nivritti in our life and sukha prapti, nirankusha trupti, infinite nirankusha trupti. Nirankusha means that contentment which is not dependent on anything, which is not taking a support of anything. And that is our true nature. So here he says, only then will life, its endeavor, struggles and contradictions fall into the correct perspective. Otherwise, only two things, our Swamiji says, whiling and howling. Why the world is there? How will I get out of it? अरे 1000 बार तो बोल दिए इतने lectures पे इतने महात्माओं ने. You have also heard it. But we are addicted to our question. We are obsessed with our question. Why the world is like this? Why the wars are taking place? Why the COVID came? Why the disease is coming? Why am I not feeling healthy? Why we good people have to suffer more than the bad people? These are typical questioning loop that is going on among some seekers. See? Get out of it. Know why. Know why, know how. Just accept that you are the infinitely divine being and live according to that. Initially, live according to that conviction. So long as importance is given to the study of the scriptures, understanding, removal of ignorance, etc., one continues to live a relative existence and is vulnerable to its limitations. As long as we live, and this is what is this, when we are studying the scriptures, we want to understand. Understanding is only at the intellectual level. What do we keep telling you? More than understanding, be subjective. The subject person, the essence, the Atman, the conscious principle cannot be understood. Aprapya manasa saha. Mind cannot comprehend it. Let the mind understanding happen or not happen. You remain as the conscious principle. Don't focus on understanding. Let understanding happen. Don't try to understand. But we remain. No. There are some specimens who attend 1 or 2 satsangs and then they come to study Sanskrit and then they want to study the Bhagavad Gita, the various scriptures. I want to study the scriptures not through someone else's mouth. I want to study it myself. I want to know it directly by myself, by my own study. What will you understand? If this thought is coming and this thought is the prompter, you are already on the wrong, going in the wrong direction. See? It is meaningless. So he goes on hammering home this point repeatedly from different angles with the help of different similes. Jnaneshwar Maharaj is making sure that what he is trying to communicate takes root. That don't try to understand, don't try to remove ignorance. Why you can't understand? Because you are already that. Why you can't remove ignorance? Because it does not exist. How can you remove that which does not exist? Dhat teriki. For so long we are studying scriptures only for understanding the truth and removal of ignorance. Both we can't do. No, you cannot do. फिर क्या करो? Twiddle your thumbs, enjoy the satsang and remain a witness of everything that is going on. See, what he is telling you here is from the highest disposition. That highest disposition, when I say highest, you will think, oh, highest, when I have completely expanded and become one with the divine. Yes, it could be that. But that already presupposes you are not there yet. Correct? That I am not there yet. But from Jnaneshwar Maharaj's point of view, everything is that only. From that viewpoint where he is established, everything is already that, including all of us. So yes, on one hand, you keep working towards it, but at the same time, learn to surrender, learn to let go, learn to grow out of the gravity of the world, the body, the breath, the mind. Only as that process builds up our consciousness, it is always free, but as if entangled in the world, as if entangled in the body, as if entangled in the breath, as if entangled in the mind, as if entangled in the wrong convictions, wrong notions. So when we are thinking about the higher, when we become 100% accepting or contemplate on the divine through name, whatever, then this disentangling process begins of its own accord. You don't have to do anything. Just like you got up in the morning, you got engaged with the world. Yes, you are starting nicely with a satsang, then you live your day. But when the night comes, you don't say that now I must think about sleep. Or sleep automatically comes because you are exhausted. When we have become exhausted of the world, when we are exhausted with our correct thinking about the relationships, the body, that till today nothing substantial has come about by interacting with the body and the world, by thinking, by understanding, substantial, then the shift will come about. And this is what our Jnaneshwar Maharaj is beckoning us through the various examples. Didhi pahata kaya na fave, pari nidete tava na dekhave, chetate na sambhave, manauniyam. What can the eyes not see in waking state? Can they see sleep? Because the function of seeing is possible only in the waking state. Similarly, one cannot awaken an already woken up person. So this is, we live with the belief that seeing is believing. We don't live as believing is seeing. If you believed and then saw, then you will believe that you are the pure consciousness. And then you will see the pure consciousness as not separate to yourself. That is the third eye, that is the intuitive vision. But we are caught up at the physicality. What I see by my physical eyes, that alone is real. See? So here Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, if that is the case, if you want to live in this world where only seeing is believing, have you ever seen the sleep? Then why do you accept that there is something called sleep? Have you seen the mind? No. Then how come you accept that there is a mind? Have you seen intellect? No. Then how come you accept that there is intellect? Have you seen your own eyes by your own eyes? No. Then how can you know that there are eyes there? No, we have seen it in the mirror. Yeah, that is a reflected eye you have seen. Have you seen the original? No. So here he takes the example of sleep, that you have not taken sleep, you have not seen sleep, but you accept it. You have not seen mind, but you accept it. Why it is difficult that you have not seen consciousness? Why don't you accept consciousness? See, we create, we have double standards. With one rule we function and we keep another rule for spirituality. Have the same rule for everything. If I have never seen sleep and I accept it, I have never seen mind and I accept it, then I have never seen consciousness. I must accept it also and become convinced that there is consciousness. As much as you glide and surrender to sleep every night, as much as you accept your mind as I after waking up, why don't you accept that the self as the conscious principle, not just the waker? Or the other way, if you can't see what do you call, if you can't see sleep, then you should reject it. You don't do that. No, it is not my experience. I have not had the vision of sleep. I reject it. I have never seen the mind. I will reject it. Have you ever done that? No. And you cannot reject the consciousness because you are always the consciousness. You know you are alive. See, all these difficulties in thinking. Thinking is possible only where there are differences, where there is subject-object difference. There only thinking is possible. But as we raise ourselves higher or expand, our consciousness gets expanded, the differences merge and knowledge takes place. And knowledge is not the word knowledge. The knowledge is the essential self, which is pure consciousness, which is of the nature of knowledge. Chit. Chit means knowledge. Self means knowledge. Not second-hand knowledge. What we are doing here is second-hand knowledge. But while listening, if our attention is on the conscious principle, then we have gained the knowledge. We can see everything in the waking state with our eyes, then why do we not see our own sleep? Sleep cannot be seen by the eyes. In the same way, you cannot awaken someone who is already awake. When the Atma Tattva is already established, the presence of divinity does not need to be established again. You are a bachelor and you can become husband. You are consciousness and you want to become consciousness. That is not possible. You are of the nature of consciousness and you want to become consciousness. That is not possible because you are already that. Oh, then I was already, you were not born as a husband, you were a bachelor. Then you identified with someone, then you became a husband. Then you identified with another, then you became the father. So that is becoming. So when we are thinking of the Lord, when we are thinking of the self, how objectively, then the trap is of becoming, and that becoming is not possible. That's why people stop doing their sadhana, because hey, there's nothing there when they come to the threshold of thinking. This is where the Ishwar Advayavad or Vedanta comes to bring about that clarity. That what you are seeking, you already are. And how can I can wake up the inner strength. I can wake up, I can invoke devotion towards the Lord. I can invoke or surrender to the various planes of existence, Bhurbhuva Swatapa Janamata Satyam. But can I invoke the self? Can I wake up the self? I can wake up the Kundalini, but can I wake up the consciousness, pure consciousness? Can I wake up the Atman? It is already awake. That is why all these equipments are functioning. See? So if you believe that you are not conscious, meaning that you are the body, you are the breath, you are the mind, you are the intellect, then you go through the step-by-step liberation. That is, you slowly expand from gross to subtle, subtle to causal, causal to transcendental. But if you accept and you understand in this satsang that you are by nature always awake, so there is no one to be woken up, no one to be invoked, no one to be realized, because you are already that. Tattvamasi. Not just intellectually, directly. If that becomes our, not becomes again, when that is our natural state, then will such a person try to invoke divinity, will try to invoke the pure self? Will that person be a mumukshu? Mumukshu means desire, intense desire for the self. From where Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying, he says it's a stupid thought because you are already the self. You are imagining that you are not the self. You are imagining that you are not the self, but you are already the self. See? So he says, you cannot awaken someone who is already awake. So, who is already awake? You are already awake. You cannot wake yourself up. When the Atma Tattva is already established, the presence of divinity does not need to be established again. Atma Tattva is ever established, it's not a result of some logic, it's not a result of some inference, it's not a result of some simile, it is not a result of some what do you call surrender or result of samadhi or savikalpa or nirvikalpa. It is not a result of anything. It is self-established. Atman is self-established. It's self-existing. It's self-knowing. And what are we doing? If I do yoga, I will come to know the self. If I do pranayam, I will come to know the self. If I do Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, then I will come to know the self. So does it mean that we should not do it? Till you are not convinced, till you are not abiding in your own nature, if some truti is there, if some corruption of within your being is there, where objectivity is still the norm, keep doing the exercises, keep doing the sadhana. But understand what is the ultimate goal. Meaning, what is your natural state, that be very clear about. Then do we have to, suppose we go through this step-by-step liberation and we come to know that I am that. Now tomorrow again I have to practice that. No, you are already that. Do you have to practice being a mother every day? No, once you have become a mother, you are a mother. No, I forgot. Now I have to invoke the mother again. I have to invoke the mother tomorrow also. Oh my God, now what sadhana should I do? No, you don't have to. Same way. Once we have come to know directly, without any support, the essential nature, our natural state, we have fallen back into it, or we have recognized ourselves to be that without a thought. Thereafter, everything is a leela. Everything is a divine experience. That which is can never be denied, and that which is not can never be established. Self can never be denied, sleep can never be, waking, dreaming, sleeping can never be established. They cannot stand the logic. Why? Their source is ignorance. The man is ever established, and the father, the son, husband, they can never be established. Meaning, they are existing in their own absence. They are virtual. They are only imaginations, projections of your mind. As pertinent as these examples sound, apply it subjectively. Let the mind think in this manner, but while mind is thinking in this manner, you be that. Don't get identified with the mind. Oh, when this process is over, then I will become that. No becoming. Let the mind do its job, which is listening, contemplating, brooding, meditating, understanding. Let the mind do it. You be the one in whose presence this whole process is going on. Therefore, words have their limitations. Once the pole vaulter jumper has vaulted over the bar, he lets go of the pole before he goes over the other side. Similarly, he who has developed the self-confidence, Atma Vishwasa or Atma Bala, the strength which comes from the being, the self-confidence, should have the courage to drop the whole world. न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागे नैके अमृतत्व मानशुः. We are thus advised not to do tyaga of tyaga, That is, discard renunciation and hold on to the world for support. So this example is taken, that of a pole vaulter. You must have seen in the Olympics and Commonwealth Games and World Games, World Athletic Games. Australia has also been on the top a few times. And they run with a pole in their hand, and they run and run and run and come to their optimum speed, dig the pole into the ground. Taking the support of the pole, they raise themselves to the highest, as high they can go, and twist their body over the bar, continuing to hold on to the pole, first with the hand, then with the fingers, then only with the one finger. And when the whole body has crossed over to the over the bar at a particular height, then how do you become the winner? Only when you let go of the pole which brought you to that height. So learn to let go of the mind. Learn to let go of the thoughts. They were only the support to bring you to a certain level of contemplation. Now let go. But instead, what do? Little bit of difficulties in our life. If we feel a little bit of disenchantment with the world, we become afraid. I think I'm losing interest in my children and my husband and my parents. I think, oh my God, is it not my duty to take care of my relatives? Back into the attachment. Back into the attachment. Guilt. I think I'm losing interest in the food. If I don't eat, how will I live? Oh, back into the food. Renunciation is healthy. Whether you are detached from the world, detached from the relations and possessions, detached from food, detached from breath, all is healthy. Detached from your mind, and it is happening every day. You detach from the entire world, your body, breath, mind. Every night when you go to sleep, you are detached from everything. Why does it become a problem when you practice it consciously? Why you make it a problem? Why do you make detachment an issue? When you have a direct experience that when you are completely detached, you are completely relaxed, you are completely invigorated, you are recharged, and with that recharge you are able to again next day function 18-20 hours. Without that sleep, it will not be possible. How much more rejuvenation will be there when you are continuously charged all the time by being the self. See, so here Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying, don't renounce the renunciation itself. If you renounce the renunciation, the mind will go back to the world of attachments. This I experienced directly when I was doing some pranayam and certain exercises many years ago before going to the ashram. When I used to do 2-3 months continuous, I'll find all the wrong bad habits, they leave me. And I used to become so overconfident. The word is self-confidence here. Overconfident that I have conquered it. And then I'll stop meditating, I'll stop doing my japa, I'll stop doing my pranayama. and slowly, slowly, within 1 month, not even for 2, 3, within 1 month, all those vices, they'll start creeping in again, they'll start entangling me. Then again I'll catch that, hey man, I again lost the plot. Again I'll start, when within 10, 15 days, 20 days, again I'll overcome all that. Again I'll feel that I have conquered. It took me some time to realize that it was a pattern. Naturally, what will be the question? The question will be, how do I remain continuously disentangled? Meaning, how do I continuously remain in a state of renunciation, state of vairagya, state of tyaga? See? Then whatever I was doing, if I keep continuing doing that, it's not going to give me the result. So should I stop that? No, let it go on. But my approach has to be different. The approach had to be subjective. That time I didn't understand the word subjective. That time. So one day I just called out to the Lord. For me, Lord was the subject at that time. So he said, you idiot, you have been doing it by yourself. You never offered anything to me. You never felt that I am the prompter in your mind, within you, who is making you do these things. And such a deep sense of relief that how I was caught up in my own ego trip, that I am doing pranayama, I am doing the exercise, I am doing the sadhana, I am doing the meditation. Never this feeling that it is the Lord's grace that it bringing it about. And when that clicked, the entire pranayam, sab stop ho gaya. Only the Lord's name was there. And then the Lord's, just chanting Lord's name for 2, 3, 4 months continuously brought about all the sadhana by way of pranayam, by way of kundalini. It all began by His grace then, not because I wanted it to happen. See? So do not, and here Swamiji's, this comes in Kaivalya Upanishad, न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः. Immortality is gained only by renunciation, giving up. And giving up what? 3 ashanas, 3 desires. Na karmana, the desire to do in this world, new projects. Give up, enough. Kar liya, bahut kar liya. Na karmana, na prajaya, the desire for progeny. Na dhanena, desire for wealth. Yesterday we did Adhyatma Ramayana. There, when Kausalya sees the Chaturbhuj Narayan born to her, this is the first prayer that comes to her. She says, I was lost in the samsara of Pita, Putra and Dhana. Sorry, not Pita, Pati, Putra and Dhana. The husband, the child and the wealth. Your darshan has brought me out of that attachment. Now I see that you are the only reality. Your darshan itself bestows salvation. See? Now, Adhyatma Ramayana is saying, Tulsi Das ji says, here Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying, Bhagavad Gita is saying, Bhagavatam is saying, are they all fools who are saying this again and again? And we are more intelligent than them to be attached to our relations and the world. We think we are more intelligent. All these people are just saying out of their hat. This disposition within us must change. This is because when we listen to or read the scriptures or listen to the Mahatmas, we are doing it as a default setting. चलो सत्संग टाइम है, सुन लिया, that sounded very nice, wonderful, ठीक है, it's the God's grace, if it has to happen it will happen, otherwise we will continue doing the punya karma. What is that punya karma? Exposing ourselves to satsang. Karma is again of the ego. Yes, no doubt that if you are exposing yourself to such satsangs and you don't realize, I don't wish that to anyone, that next birth will be human birth, no doubt. But you want to go again? You want to be born again? Go through parents scolding again? 1, 2, and 2 to the 4 to Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha. Continue. Mommy, I forgot. Khatak 1. Again physics, chemistry, maths. Again read all the scriptures. I am reading this. This was my feeling when I went to the ashram. I had never studied any scriptures. When I studied the scripture, when I was listening to the scriptures, it was as if I knew all this before. It was as if I knew all this before. You must be also having this feeling. Yeah. It's all sounds fantastic. It's just right. Then why are we born? Because we didn't realize. For one reason. Second reason, we have been sent by the Lord to do His job. But do you find yourself that you are ever in communion with the Divine doing His job? Surrendered to every action that is taking place is by His will? Do you have that disposition? Then it is fantastic. But if not, we committed some error. So correct it this time. Don't be over smart, thinking that the scriptures and the Mahatmas and they are speaking from what can a sannyasi come to know? The joy of being the father, being the husband, being the having relationship with everyone. What can a sannyasi know? Don't underestimate and don't overestimate yourself that you know everything. If scripture, this comes down to the root. Our acceptance and respect and reverence for the scriptures. Who tells you? Na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena. Who tells you putreshna, vitteshna, lokeshna? Scriptures. Who tells you about liberation? Scriptures. Or till the scriptures didn't say, you think I was not conscious? I was already conscious. Yes, you were conscious, but which consciousness? You were the virtual, the illusory, or the original? Gaunatma, Mithyatma, or Mukhyatma? So scriptures bring you to your original. They are reminding you. So if we do not have the faith and conviction and the courage to accept and follow the scriptures, we choose what we want to accept and rest we keep it aside. Consciousness, that I accept, but that consciousness is not going to you as an individual will not come to know that consciousness as long as you are attached to till karma, dhana, prajaya. When this statement is made, na karmana na prajaya, na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amritattva manushu. It is told immortality is only gained through renunciation. Yeah, all that is good, that is fantastic. Yes, yes, yes. Immortality is gained through renunciation. But it's such a nice, my children are growing so nicely. Immediately water it down. Our problem is we want to hold on to the world to gain the divine. This is our lot. We want to hold on to the world to realize the divine. Scriptures telling you exactly the opposite. Hold on to the divine to grow out of the world, to renounce the world. This is what our Dharmaraj, the Lord of Death, was telling Nachiket. Nachiket, I am so pleased by you, I am so over the moon by your vairagya, your renunciation to all the temptations that I presented you. I wish I had that clarity, I had that courage when I was doing my sadhana when I was young. I used the worldly supports for knowing the divine, for realizing the divine. Whenever we use worldly supports, the maximum we can get to is the Hiranyagarbha, the God principle, the total principle. We are the absolute one. And therefore he is stuck in his position as the Lord of Death because he was so dharma parayan. He wanted to do everything that was right. But how did he get that position? By doing the pujas, by doing the avahana of the gods, through homam, dravya, oil, chanting. Nothing wrong with chanting. Chanting is also an objective approach. But if you are aware and if you are alert, that objective approach keeps expanding, or you keep renouncing the gross approach, which is Vaikhari, to subtle approach, which is Madhyama, to the causal approach, which is Pashyanti, and you come out of the gravity of the three loop and come to recognize you are the eternal one. If that is not taking place, then you will remain in the loop. More examples follow in the next two OVs. Chakora chiya udyama, latake panachi sima, zari vihachi chandrama, givasu vaise. It will be a height of foolishness if the chakora bird were to exert for drinking moon rays during the day. The chakora is a mythical bird, and these birds drink the nectar which is dripping from the moon on the full moon night, and that is their nourishment. And Here he says it will be foolish if they put or they exert energy and will and they are and to drink what? To drink that nectar in the middle of the day. It is not possible only. Exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. We are exerting efforts. We are trying so hard to be happy when our nature is happiness. See? Self is self-nourishing. Self is self-knowing. How you are coming to know? You are coming to know through my words. How am I coming to know? Through the words of the Jnaneshwar Maharaj. How did Jnaneshwar Maharaj come to know? Direct experience. How did Krishna come to know? Direct experience. How did Shukdevji Maharaj come to know? Direct experience. How did any Mahatma come to know? Direct experience. Then we have taken all these great masters, all these gods, put them on a pedestal and Pahimam, I am the sinner. No. Either have the courage to renounce everything and look at the whole thing in a new light from the perspective of the self. Or the second approach is the Anvaya Sadhana, the Ishwara Advaya. At this very moment, accept everything is the project, is the expansion of the consciousness that I am. The micro and the macro, the individual and the total. And because consciousness is formless and attributeless, so we say, okay, that is Shiva and Shakti at the totality level. That's how this book began. No, catch the game, catch the phenomena, understand the rules of phenomena. Abide by the rules of, well, you don't have to abide by the rules of the phenomena. The phenomenal rules are only one. The phenomena is of the mind. Mind is always changing. Mind is always changing. That is its nature. Manifestation and unmanifestation. And when we don't make mind, when we don't go and own the mind as I, then mind will automatically get integrated and fall back into its source. If you embrace the mind as I, then we create imaginary obstacles, we create imaginary difficulties, we create imaginary distance between me and myself. We create this imaginary distance between the individual and the total and the absolute. This is all imaginary. By whom? By the mind. Who is creating this distance? The I thought, the ego. Well, I thought is not creating, but the ego is creating, which is a ghost. So break this cycle. For that, continuous application is required for some time, so that so that what here Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying becomes karamlavat. It becomes like a gooseberry in your hand, as the Upanishads say, because it was always yours. It will be the height of foolishness if the chokora bird were to exert itself to feed on the amrutam or ambrosia falling from the moon's rays during the daytime. Just as impossible that is, that much impossible is for us to realize the truth, for us to realize the truth, only taking waking to be the reality. You have to take the status of waking equal to the status of dream, equal to status of deep sleep. What is that? They are existing in their own absence. Then it is possible. If you take the waking to be real and dream to be unreal, there can be no progress. Whatever progress you think, you will say, oh, I think I am able to sit longer. Oh, I think my breath is slow and shallow. I think this is happening. Oh, I think that is happening. All that is your imagination only. You have to take, either you take the three states to be the expression of the divine, through whom the divine alone is expressing. Divine is the material, divine is the creator of those three states, or that is the Ishwara Advaivad. And how does the divine do it? Through his potentiality, through his Maya, through his Shakti. Or the other approach is that as useless the dream experience is, equally useless is the waking experience, therefore not worthy of pursuit. I need to wake up from it. And to wake up, this contemplation can only happen in the waking. And to wake up, you have to give the same status to the waking to that of dream and deep sleep. That zero. Then alone. But we are so much invested in the waking that we don't want to wake up. So all this sadhana that is given, na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena, tyage naike, it is not for the dreamer, it is for the waker. Get up, man. Wake up. And in the previous verse he said, how can someone who is already awake be woken up? It cannot be possible. So these contradictions, this is the language. So sometimes he is taking the position of the individual, sometimes he is talking from the absolute, and continuously he keeps shunting for our benefit, so that we don't form a firm notion in our head. Only the way is through the contradictions. And to see the contradictions and to be able to see through them, you have to stand apart from the contradictions. The contradiction is individual and total, micro and macro. The contradiction is waking, dream and deep sleep, manifestation and unmanifestation. Stand apart. As Lord Shiva is standing apart from his Shakti. Standing apart means not influenced by the phenomena. Then nothing needs to be done. You are that. Story over. See? अब ऐसे सोच, when you loudly think like this, suddenly everything becomes clear. आंखों के सामने, there is no doubt. So much clarity. One of the names of the moon is Sudhanshu. This was our Swami Anubhavanji's name as Brahmachari. Brahmachari Sudhanshu. So he has brought it in. One of the names for the moon is Sudhanshu. Sudha Anshu. Anshu means part. Sudha means the nectar. The one who showers Amrutam, that feeds the plant kingdom, so they are able to produce tasty, healthy foods to satiate the disease called hunger. In former times, farmers followed the practice of exposing the seeds to the moon before sowing in order to produce a healthy harvest. It is still a common acceptance among the farmers, unlike the Western thinking, that it is the moon which gives nourishment to the plants and not the sun. Sun allows photosynthesis to happen, but it is the moon which provides the nourishment in its nectar transformed into the plant as the nourishment. So where will the chakora pakshi, the bird, find the moon's rays during the day? Nusadhiyechi sansa muka hoye vachakacha antarali payansa pedha hoya. The reader of a blank book will turn out to be silent, so also the feet are of no use for walking in the space. He who wants to read a book with blank pages, what will he read? What will he speak? He will only become dumb and silent. And if someone wants to walk in space, of what use are his legs? They will only hang loosely. See, these are the words of Jnaneshwar Maharaj. Man in the modern times went to space in 60s. Jnaneshwar Maharaj in 770, 80 years ago. He is telling you of how the experience in space is. Were there any space rockets or International Space Station that time? No. Our Tsangdev Maharaj, during Jnaneshwara's time, we did Tsangdev Pasashti. That Tsangdev Maharaj, when he came to know about Jnaneshwar Maharaj, he was in conundrum. He thought he wanted to write a letter that people say he is a great master. So he wanted to write a letter. He is 1400 years old. Jnaneshwar Maharaj is only in his teens. He said, oh, should I give Ashirwad to him? Oh, but they say he is a realized master. How can I give Ashirwad to him? Ashirwad can be given to someone young. Yeah, he may be young by body, but in abidance, in knowledge, he seems to be great. Should I ask for blessings? He's thinking, should I ask for blessings? But I am 1400 years old. What can a small young boy give blessings to me? So he sent a blank paper to Jnaneshwar Maharaj. Kora kagaz, kora hi reh gaya. So here, he who wants to read a book with blank pages, what will he read? What will he speak? See? Now that person, Jnaneshwar Maharaj, when he saw the page, we saw what was his approach. It was not negative approach. It was not negative approach. He doesn't know anything. That's why he sent a blank paper. That's what Muktabai said. But Jnaneshwar, no. He's ready. He's blank. He's available. Let's give him darshan. If someone gives us a call or we give someone a call and they just quickly want to brush you off and put the phone down, and your mind is imagining this person is, I have done so much for him, I have been so close to this person, every week we talk, or whenever we talk we are so pally with each other, and this person just like that, without any reason, he was being, why is that person being so abrupt? All this is going on in our mind just because of that one two-line conversation, and that person put the phone down. All our projection. Krishna Bhagwan, from birth till his conclusion of his avatar, he remained a blank slate, blank paper, allowing everything to happen, stopping nothing, initiating nothing. Ramchandra ji the same. In Adhyatma Ramayana we saw Sita says Ramchandra ji is the non-doer. I made him born, I was the cause for his birth, I made him grow up, I made him to study, I made him to made him appear as if he's gone to sannyas and he killed Ravana. I made him do all that. But even while he was doing everything, he is the non-doer. Catch these subtle points. That same Sita is nothing but our mind. The Atman, it's the Ram. Atman is ever the non-doer. And you are that. Lord Shiva with Shakti, he is ever the non-doer. He allows the Shakti to manifest or unmanifest. He doesn't interfere. If she asks, he tells. He gives from the absolute standpoint, whatever comes out will come out. If she asks just for the heck of it, nothing comes out. So what is that blank space? That blank space is the mind. Let it be blank. When mind is blank, when mind is zero, then the presence reveals itself. It is always there. You will become available to yourself in that blank mind. And that what will happen as a result? The mind will become completely integrated without you putting any efforts. And thereafter, again the mind will manifest, it will think thoughts, waking dreams, sleep will come, everything will go on. But out of integration, not disintegration. This is how Lord Shiva functions, this is how Brahmaji functions, this is how Vishnu functions, this is how every Mahatma functions or is seen functioning. We can only talk from what we observe, And what is that disposition here Jnaneshwar Maharaj is putting across? He who wants to read a book with blank pages, what will be read? What will he speak? There's nothing to speak, there's nothing to read because it's blank. From absolute standpoint, there is no otherness. From absolute standpoint, absolute consciousness standpoint, there is no two. There's only one. Language is possible only where there is two. So the book is blank. Nothing to say, nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to imagine, nothing to project, nothing to ideate, nothing to be convinced about. nothing to teach, nothing to learn, nothing to realize. Yet I am. So this is in the negative language which I just spoke. Nothing, 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 nothing. What will he read? What will he speak? He will only become dumb and silent. This is, we are talking from, if you want to take it as that even as an individual, as a seeker, when we are single-pointedly focused, absolutely alert about the conscious principle, the mind will stop agitating. Agitation of the mind is called thought. And from absolute standpoint, there is nothing to speak because it alone is. So both ways you can take, conclusion is the same. And if someone wants to walk in space, of what use are his legs? They will only hang loosely. I can only think of it as balavat, pishachavat, unmattavat. Pishach also is hanging, legs are hanging in the air, no? The unmatta, the intoxicated one, he is also not able to walk straight. He is drunk, intoxicated. One who is intoxicated in the self, by the self, there is no otherness. Usko, in sannyasi world, we call it as masti. The intoxication of the divine, unconcerned about the world, unconcerned about the consequences, unconcerned about past or future, unconcerned about body, breath, mind, intellect. Only in tune, in poise with the divine. फिर मस्ती आ जाती है. They will only hang loosely. Just like the teenagers at the intersections or some shop or some dhaba or some from some tea shop or coffee shop, they hang loose, what are you doing? Nothing. Then why are you here? Just like that, for no reason, no purpose, hang loose. Mahatmas also hang loose in life. No purpose, yet everything is going on around them. After having given so many examples, the thought is concluded. Taisi atidye sanmukhe siddhachi pratishedhake uthalichi nirarthake jalpe hoti. Similarly, the non-existent ignorance is self-evident and the use of words to destroy it are meaningless. We'll talk about this. Non-existent ignorance, how it is self-evident, and unnecessarily going about and doing neti, 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 not this, I'm not the body, I'm not the breath, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. All this, creating a journey where there is no journey required, get out of it. We'll contemplate on this thought in the 68th verse in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for a moment.